Yo, what's up, guys, and welcome back to the next episode of The Lock. Of course, if you guys are listening to us on iTunes, Spotify, SoundCloud, any other audio platform, you are listening to this early every Thursday. But if you are listening on YouTube, I encourage you to check it out on the other ones because then you don't have to wait till Sunday, 4 p.m. Eastern. Also, feel free to join our Discord. That link is down below. Today, we have a friend of mine, a content creator and Twitch streamer, PattyTrills.
Guys, it's your boy, that 152 guy. I'm just gonna keep introducing myself as that.
Bro, you keep doing that, but like people are not gonna understand what that.
Oh yeah, people. Well, I don't know. You had A-Drive viewers a couple weeks ago, so they might be like, "Hey, I know that guy."
Right off the bat, I don't know what
That's what I'm
you're
saying.
talking about. You guys have left me behind.
It was a 152-hour stream that he was a part of, where they shiny.
Oh, good God!
Yeah, they shiny hunted for 152 hours.
It was sick. It was sick. But yeah, it's PattyTrills, aka Young Johnny Bravo, Flex God. You know, we out here.
Anyway, bro, what's been on your mind, man? What's been happening? What keeps you up at night?
All right, so I'm gonna give you two answers on that. So the first answer is like a very subtle, like a very more lighthearted answer is I just was able to secure a place with my lady. So I've been stressing on that because recording this tomorrow, or no, Thursday. Yeah, Thursday, I fly out to Chicago to grab her, and then we pack, and then we kind of drive back here to Vegas. So like it's a 26-hour drive. So I've been kind of like prepping and all that stuff. So I've been stressing on that. But we finally secured a place, so I'm not really too worried about it anymore. But like what keeps me up at night like a lot, I have a huge fear of like my own mortality.
Really?
Oh, good.
Yeah,
God.
so it's not like not as a fear as in like it's gonna get really deep, guys. Let's get a seatbelt. Let's get ready.
I'm strapped in.
It's not like the fear of like I'm going to die, because obviously that's inevitable. Like that's like the only thing that's guaranteed in life is like death and taxes. But like it's more of I really enjoy doing what I do, and it upsets me that I know that I can't do it forever. Like that's what gets to me.
Is it like when it says upsets you that you can't do it forever? Is it just specifically that, or is it more so when you die, you'll feel like you haven't finished or accomplished enough? Or is it just the fact that you love what you do and you just want to keep doing it as long as you can? And you know, if that's forever, then
it's a little bit of both, because I love doing what I do now. You know, I even like growing up, I've always like felt like entertainment was like my purpose, kind of like what felt natural that came to me. So yeah, I'm always hungry for it. Like I would always want to, like I want to keep going and like keep continuously like improving and trying new things. But yeah, just the fact that I have like a limited amount of time in general makes me upset, because I like entertaining people. I like, you know.
I can definitely relate to just staying up thinking about it. It's not something it's easy to wrap your mind around that you'll just stop existing. Yeah. But I think after a lot of years of just laying there thinking about it, I think I am kind of comfortable with just letting it go. You know, if I died tomorrow, I don't think it would matter it wouldn't make any difference for me. You know, I wouldn't sad. Experience.
Yeah, it'd make me sad.
Yeah.
I mean, like I'm totally, I'm able to let go of life pretty easily at this point.
I feel like, I don't know, man. Like for me, if I died tomorrow, I'd basically worry that, have I left behind enough for Marlene and my family and her family?
Well, the thing is, you wouldn't worry very much because
but that like, this is my worry, right? If I was to die, my worry now. It's funny because that was like one of the questions we saw on the list, right? If someone was gonna die that you loved, how would you tell them? But I would worry because I feel like I haven't done enough for stability and, you know, to leave behind Marlene in like, you know, a stable environment.
I guess it's different for you because I have nothing to really leave behind. If I died, I'm just like, I'm peace, bros. I got a few friends that are gonna probably be sad for a while, but later.
Yeah, I think Joey has more responsibilities kind of tied to him, because it's like I'm not married, but like you are, and then so it's like if you go away, you're affecting more people financially and stuff. Mine's more of like, because like obviously when someone passes away, it's it's heartbreaking to anyone. Like there's always someone, like you are, like no matter who you are on the planet, you are important to someone. Like there's at least one person on the planet that like values your existence, right?
Yeah.
It's just more of like, yeah, I just really love my life right now. I'm very like, it's not perfect. Like there's definitely a lot of things I would change, but like from where I've been to now and like what could happen makes me very optimistic, and I'm very like happy. So the fact that I'm happy and living in the moment, it's like just that constant reminder. It's like memento mori. Like the expression of memento mori is like what I try to justify the fact that, yeah, everyone dies, but you should make the most of it until that happens, pretty much.
I like that. So what exactly do you feel like you came up from that changed, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah, so maybe the 4 viewers that are watching me because of me on this podcast. A lot of people know on my channel that I grew up pretty rough. We made the joke before before we started the podcast where I was like, I'm still waiting on my dad to come back. Ha ha ha. Yeah, so like to give a quick sum up, dad, not really much in my life. I've ran into him a couple times, and it's always been kind of weird because he acts like nothing's like happened. Like, hey, what's up, man? I'm like, dog, I'm like 23 now. Like, what's going on? My mom, I lived with her until I was about 12. Because I became homeless for like 6 months, and then I went into foster care for like the remainder until I aged out when I was 18. So like, I went from like, growing up in a trap house on the streets to now, paying my bills and doing pretty well. Not pretty well, but at least like, I'm independent, and that's what like I deem as successful, because it's like I can survive on my own in a healthier way. Because I can survive on my own when I was homeless and stuff, but that's because that was more of I had to. Now it's like I can because I'm an adult and I'm adulting correctly.
So is that why your thing, you fear mortality, because now you've been given, I don't want to get too deep, but maybe I do, but you feel like you've been given this chance, right? To be able to do that, like you came up from there. So it's like, man, I have this. I don't want to, even if you die, you're obviously not going to go back to what it was before, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess if you die, you are homeless. Technically, I don't know. I'm trying.
No, no. I get what you're saying. It's more of like, it's the fact that I've seen how dark the world can be, and it could obviously be darker. Because a lot of times when I tell people like my stories, like I was like, I won foster kid of the year when I was like 17. I didn't know that was a thing, but
That's
like in the state, I didn't know until I won it. So I was like, in the state of Nevada, like out of all the foster kids, I was like the best one, I guess. So we had like,
what criteria do they measure that?
That's what I'm saying. So I don't know, like, because like in high school, I was good in school. Like I stayed out of trouble and stuff like that. So like I was just like a regular person because I tried to like roll with the punches. But so I won, and like I had to give this speech in front of like all these people and stuff, like at this like ceremony, I guess, or whatever. And like my whole thing when I tell people my life is I don't want people to feel like upset or like they can be sympathetic, because like I think that's kind of natural when you hear someone go through like heartache. Like you inherently become like sympathetic or like empathetic or whatever. But I always try to tell people like it's not where you start, it's where you finish. And also, I don't regret anything that I went through now, because I'm really content. I don't regret anything about myself. Like now that I've gotten older and like matured and like, experienced life with like a new, with not like a new leaf, because that's like a very cliche statement, but I experienced life with like more tools given to me. Like now I can actually live, if that makes sense.
So you feel like and let's bring me back to the Shofu episode, but you feel like you wouldn't be the person you are now if it wasn't for what you went through. So that adversity, what doesn't kill you made you stronger. Do you believe in that, or is that something you live by?
Which when I was watching that Shofu podcast, I didn't know that about him, and I was like, damn, all right, am I just white Shofu right now? I was like, we just got things related, okay. I think so, because because happiness doesn't come until heartache, like you have to experience sadness or heartache before you can really truly experience like happiness and joy, because then how can you defer the difference of the two?
I think those downs in life really are an important step to achieving self-actualization.
Yeah, and like I think going through heartache or something like that it's not necessarily what you go through is what makes you as a person. It's the how you get back up and keep swinging for the fences of what creates like you as a person, like the internal drive or kind of character or like will, So like I said, I don't regret anything that I've been through. Like I don't talk to my parents much, but would I change it? No, because if that was the case, I might not be like in this call right now.
Yeah, exactly where you are. You never know. Yeah, that's the same thing. Done a lot that you regret, or some things that happen. And in the moment, it's really tough seeing, wow, this is happening for a reason, right? Like at that moment, it's like you're probably just thinking, I'm hungry. I don't have a place. But like looking now, you were like, okay, this happened for a reason. I was able to grow up. I was able to do this.
I think I have a good. I don't think I'm like super intelligent or like a genius on every like social subject or whatever, but I think it does give me a good insight with like a lot of things. That I think a lot of people don't have. Like a lot of people don't like a lot of like not kids because I'm 22 now, but like when I was younger as well, like in high school, like especially when I was in high school, I was kind of felt like I was ahead of the curve with a lot of these kids because a lot of them kind of came from money or anything like that. So they're very like, I wouldn't say ignorant because like ignorant doesn't inherently mean like negative, but like, yeah, they just weren't exposed to like real life situations. So they lived very bubbled. And I think like that creates a lot of ignorance for them, and not ignorance isn't negative as in they're stupid, but ignorance isn't like they're just not aware.
Yeah, they just don't know. Yeah,
but if you come to the right person, ignorance could be the best way to learn something if you're humble enough. But a lot of people who are bubbled aren't,
because they never had to be.
Yeah, exactly. So
yeah, they never see it.
You know, I definitely agree. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger in some way.
That's good.
Do you feel that you've achieved self-actualization for whatever it means to you? Or if not, do you think that it's even possible to fully achieve self-actualization?
I think so. I don't think I've like 100%. Like, I guess to answer your question with the question, to what extent do you mean of like self-actualization?
Well, I consider someone who is self-actualized I think it's just someone that accepts themselves and others and the natural world in the way that it is. And, you see, but at the same time, like, while I think there are some people that have achieved some level of self-actualization, I don't know that it's possible to be fully self-actualized because the human spirit, is that you're continuously growing.
I think you could be fully self-actualized. That's some tongue twisters. To yourself, I think to an extent, like for example, you won't be self-actualized. I can't say it right now. You won't be that one word. Yeah. I hate tongue twisters. You won't be that. Like you could do that right now in this present time. Like you can have an actualization of yourself, right? But like, there's no way you can predict if you can like actualize yourself 5 years from now because that's impossible. So I think you could do it to like yourself and maybe only yourself, because like for the rest of like the natural world and what we know, there's so much that we don't know already. So like I don't think you'll ever be like 100% like content with like what's going on. But as long as you're like content with yourself and like if you're okay with yourself, which a lot of that is like a lot of the times a lot of people put them on like they put their own, what do you like a better word for, they put their own you would say insecurities. Because a lot of insecurities play against actualization because like they're not content with themselves or happy with themselves, but a lot of the insecurities are like societal based, or they put them on themselves because society gives them a standard that's not allowed. But I think as long as you're content with yourself, that's the best you can get. And I'm content with myself. Like I love myself.
And that's good.
In the vein of being content with yourself, we actually took to Twitter to ask for some questions for people would have for you for this episode. And Benjamin, I don't know how to pronounce this last name. He's at Oregon Psyducks.
Shoutouts.
He asks, what is the importance of being yourself and not trying to be someone else? Feeling like this is something he excels at and could really give good advice and life experiences on. I was referring to you in this episode.
Sweet. Well, shoutouts to him. Good question. Welcome to the podcast. No, being to yourself, I learned at a younger age, because like when I was like going through all my stuff, like being homeless and whatnot, I still went to school, like very roughly, like very sparingly. I would still show up and stuff. And when I went to my first foster family, they weren't that great to me either. Like they treated me pretty shitty. So like I got bullied a lot because like I went to like a very cultural school, so like I was like the only white kid there, and so I got picked on for that just because I was different. So like I would try to worry and like I would try to like cater to them at a younger age when I was like 12, 13, because at that point like you value things that aren't valuable, but at that time it's worth everything. Like something so small is like your entire world at that time, and then you look back and you're like, that shit was dumb. But like I realized that when I would say I was like probably about 15. When I was 15, I think like I kind of like put it together where I don't care, like not in like the rude way of I don't care what other people think, because I don't want to come off of like, yeah, I listen to punk music. Like
I feel where you're coming from here.
It's more of like, as long as I'm happy with myself, and if the person's relevant, then their opinion is irrelevant on me. So like, why should they like change who I am? And so I'm a very goofy person, like naturally. Like I like being the spotlight of like attention when it comes to doing stupid shit, like in a very harmless way.
Yeah.
You know, so I just think to be yourself on the internet, especially because a lot of people will try to like there's nothing wrong with being influenced by other people. Like I without a doubt, there's a couple like friends that I watch that I like pick up some of their mannerisms. Like I know Shofu does like the hoagie, like, and I'll say that sometimes, or like my friend Nexus says buddy, you know, like there's like little like mannerisms that you'll pick up. But like there's a lot of people out there who like try to be the copy paste of a channel that they look up to, and that's just not a good move.
Well, at the end of the day, though, I think being yourself is also being whatever you're most comfortable with. So
Yeah.
for me, I might say "he me," my friend like PK says, or like friend or whatever, and at the end, because I'm so used to saying that with my group of friends, that ends up becoming a part of me, right? So it's not necessarily me copying somebody, but it's me being the purest form of myself, which is
They've
the one that
added something to you, yeah.
Exactly. It's just be like whenever I see the word, Draco Meteor is a moving Pokemon, I say drop a Draco. A lot of people say drop a Draco, but part of that might be people actually copy me. But part of that,
you get paid for that, or you get royalties off of that?
I wish, bro, that'd be sick. But part of it is definitely people just eventually saying, "Wow, this is something I like more than saying the other thing. It's catchy, it makes me comfortable, type of thing." And I think that's a little bit, to a lesser extent, than like something like Hey-Man, for instance. That's just something I'm just a part of. Like, I feel like that's just me. You know what I mean?
I'm sorry, Discord like tweaked for like 2 seconds there, and you cut up.
All good. I just basically said that I feel like that's just me. Like, it's something like that. Like,
I think.
No, you can go. I was just saying that I think that blatant copying obviously is not you, but something that you're just so comfy with.
I think people should be like going back to being content with themselves, because it's like everyone's weird. Like, without a doubt, like all humans are just weird. It's like we all have weird things that we're into. We all have like random skills and talents that we might think like a lot of people worry too much about like what's like in and like what's like cool or like what's important,
or even acceptance, right? Like,
or acceptance. Like, you ever like gone to your friend's house or whatever, and like they're like this like super like cool person, or like you deem as like cool, like they're into all like the cool like shit. And then you get to the house and they're like, you find out that they've been playing the flute for like 8 years, and you're like, and then you're like, what? You're like, why didn't you say anything about playing the flute? But then they just don't, like, they feel embarrassed. But it's like, no, you could play like a music, like you could play a musical instrument like that. That should really be like something skillful that you should be like proud of. That it's ultimately a new language, ultimately, but like they just don't deem it important because like people with Supreme who say J. Cole is trash find it not important. Like, I don't know.
You reminded me that I had a friend in high school that I had known since elementary school, and he became like one of my best friends through high school. Like the first time I went to his house though was like probably.
Yeah, you're lagging a little bit.
You're like jumping all over the place.
Can you hear me? Am I good?
You just got it close to your mic, like act like that fixes your internet connection.
Are we good?
It's good now, right?
Yeah.
All right. That's all it took. Move a little bit closer.
That fixes the internet connection. Yes.
Anyway, well, I had a friend who became one of my best friends in high school, and the first time I had ever went to his house was probably around like sophomore year of high school, and whenever I finally made it to his place, I saw that he had a unicycle.
Whoa,
I asked questions about it, and he seemed like he was kind of embarrassed about it. And it turned out that he and his entire family knew how to ride a unicycle.
That is so cool.
This was a skill that they had passed down for generations.
That is so cool. That you actually reminded me of in 10th grade, my buddy Fabian, one of my best friends IRL now too. I always play Pokemon, obviously, and I'm sure everybody, all my friends did when we were younger, but this is high school, 10th grade, and we're in computer class, and he randomly asked me, Joe, are you getting Pokemon Platinum? And, I turned around with the biggest grin on my face, and I was like, bro, not only am I getting Pokemon Platinum, but I'll play this boy competitive, like just like things like that, right? And I actually opened up this whole world to him, but I feel like that's something I was never, when somebody questioned me about it, I never felt weird about it. Like, it's like, this is what I do. I don't care what you play basketball, you watch TV, I'll play this. I mean, I play ball too, but like I'll play Pokemon. This is my leisure,
same.
Right?
Yeah. Like in high school, like I play basketball and I play instruments and stuff, and I did like societal like cool things, like I played sports and I was in bands and stuff because like I'm an edge boy. But like I used to hold Yu-Gi-Oh tournaments in my high school. And like at first people were like, bro, you're lame as hell. And I was like, okay, run my fade. Like bring your deck. What's up? and then eventually we'd have like legitimate like people like grouping in and like making tournaments and shit. And it's just like, yeah, like everyone will dog on you, but if you're like persistent with it and you're just true to yourself, like people like some people might find that like not inspirational, but like very accepting, and then they'll like join you with like being as equally as open with like things that they're into, you know?
For sure. It's just, people are just like this way because it's just what society places on us. And also people are extremely judgmental and also insecure in high school. I think this goes for everybody. I think this goes for bullies and the bullied, right? Like part of the reason why bullies bully is because they might be going through something or whatever, and they don't want to show weakness. So
it's a stupid way. Like it's such a caveman mentality.
It really is. I agree. But I mean, it's unfortunately what we've been raised.
It is ingrained in our biology, though. I feel like it's been so many millions of years of build up to that it's hard to really abandon without effort on your part.
Yeah.
But even then, like it's interesting too, because once you find those people who actually accept you, you start to realize, wow, I don't care what other people think. There are people who like me for me and like what I do. And
yeah. I think the first step to that is just being honest with yourself. Like I had a group of people that I had considered friends for a while, but I realized like I didn't really relate to them. Really, I just kind of had to force myself to do it just so I had friends. But eventually, like I found a group of people that were into the same things that I was really into. Like they played RuneScape and Pokemon and stuff, and I was like, you know what, these guys, I actually don't have to pretend to be a different person around them. So I think I'm just gonna hang out with them more, and that's the people that became my actual friends I still talk to from high school.
Key actually used to change his accent when he talked to his former friends versus his real friends. He felt more accepted now that he actually talks the way he does now, which is really good in Louisiana. But yeah, that question that Key actually asked you kind of went in what Frostfay was asking. He said, for Patty, you're pretty open about the rough childhood you had, but what would be your best advice for other children currently in those situations trying to make it out with a good life? And I feel like you kind of touched upon that, but if there's a little bit more you wanted to add to that.
Yeah, so to go back to like saying like it's not where you start, it's where you finish. So like you have to just look at it. It's like, yeah, some people might be born with like more benefits, or like they have like a inherent like a better situation, and you can't like look at that and let that discourage you. And then like a lot of the times you have to like create your own opportunities. And just like my thing is, it's like it sucks now because like a lot of these people are younger and they're kids and they can't really control a lot of things. But all I would say is ride the wave, put your knee down, run out the clock, lay on the ropes, let time kind of push on for a little bit and just like keep a good head moving forward, and don't fall into like temptations, and don't
give up. Maybe
don't give up. Yeah, don't give up, and don't don't use what you have as a weakness. Like don't say, oh, I can't get a job because of the way I grew up, or I can't get good grades because like where I'm at and stuff. It's like it's still possible. You just can't let those things like hinder you. You have to like persevere over it, and like you're fighting with your arm tied behind your back, but at least as long as you can still swing, you're in it. You're in the battle.
Yeah, you might have to work harder, but if you don't give up, you can make it. And,
no pain, no gain.
Yeah, I think that's really good advice. Telling someone not to give up, and also I think that's really hard when you're in the moment, right? To not compare yourself to other people, right? Like, oh man,
oh yeah, I was insanely insecure.
Yeah,
for a while. I think I was probably insecure until I was probably about 20. I think 20 was like the first year where I was like,
that was really recent.
Really content with myself. Because you
can go.
Yeah, sorry. In high school, like my best friend, I'm so best with him now. I've known him since I was like 13. He was like my first friend after I like went through like the homelessness and all that crap. I always I didn't like look up to him as in like, he was kind of like a big brother, but we were the same age. But like he was just like, puberty was nicer to him early on. Like he was a little bit taller than me. He was a little more in shape than me. So I'd always compare myself to him. And like it wasn't healthy because like it was like I wasn't that. And so I would like really beat myself up a lot. And like he'd always get like all the girls, or like if me and him liked the same girl, like chances are she was gonna go talk to him just because like physically he had more like things that they deem important.
Yeah, he was a Chad.
yeah, it was it was like stuff like that. And so like I used to be really insecure with myself, and then then like obviously like until like I said when I was 15, like where I was like, oh, I shouldn't care about these people, like that helped. But I had a lot of like physical insecurities that were kind of like conditioned when I was younger.
Yeah.
Like like my mom used to like roast me all the time just for like the way I looked.
That's
a lot of times she was the reason why I looked like that.
Yeah,
It was
like, I got it
okay.
from you. Like, what's wrong with you?
Yeah, and I'm not an ugly guy, but like when I was younger, like I thought I was, because like I've had like 2 nose surgeries to fix my nose, like placement. I had braces to fix my teeth. Like I definitely had like some cosmetic changes, and obviously help now. But yeah, it's like when you're insecure, it's hard. It's hard to really try to think positive or think for a bigger picture. But
especially if those around you are bringing you down, like, Ma, why are you making fun of my 2 teeth when you have 1? Like, what's happening?
Yeah, like, and so like after a while, it I eventually became like not insecure. Like, so I still have like daily insecurities, like very minimum. Like I can be like, oh, I want to play basketball, so I can lose like 5-10 pounds, something like that, like very small.
Yeah.
But I used to beat myself up a lot over it. And it wasn't until recently where I was just kind of like, I need to stop doing that because it's not healthy. And there's a lot of people who are in worse situations than me, and I should be pretty grateful that I'm the young stud I am now.
I mean,
I feel
go ahead.
I feel like those insecurities that people have about like physical insecurities, I think are just like usually a lot more subtle, and it's like easier to pick up on something like that for yourself and be insecure, but like it's something that most people might notice once and then never think of a second time.
Oh yeah,
it's really easy to look past most of those surface level things.
Yeah, I always try to. I don't mean to cut you off. I'm sorry. I always like have a bad habit for that. I've been trying to work on that.
I do it constantly, dude. It's this is the podcast. This is what we do.
Yeah,
I talk.
So I always try to tell people, because like anxiety is like a really big thing. Especially now, I think anxiety's always been around, but I think a lot more people are like willingly open to talk about it, which is good. Because like the previous generation never want to talk about anxiety or emotions, and they just come home and take out their fucking day on their wife. That's how they dealt with that. So I'm glad we're past that. But I think, like they come home and like, you want tuna casserole? Like, like they just go off.
Yeah.
But now I think the fact that people are more open about like anxieties and like the way they feel with like their emotions is a lot healthier. But I always try to give people like a metaphor for people who have social anxiety to try to help with like their condition, because I have family members that suffer from it like pretty bad, and then I have like friends that obviously have had issues. Like they don't, like they're scared to like order pizza over the phone because they're like worried about the confrontation about
bro,
stuff like that.
I relate to that too hard, man.
Yeah, so like
I can't talk to people on the phone.
Yeah, my metaphor to that is because a lot of people are worried about what they say they might mess up. Like that's usually a big key to the anxiety that they have. Like they're worried that they're gonna like flub up on their words, or they're gonna say a sentence that's stupid, or like they're gonna to make the conversation awkward. Like that's like a big component of their anxiety. Not for everyone, but I'm just saying like commonly. So like from my metaphor to people is like everyone lives in a movie, and everyone in their own movie is the main star. So Joey's going through his own movie. He's going through the pokeaimMD Young Strong Job movie film, and he's the main movie star, right? I'm in my own movie, PattyTrills, right? PattyTrills the movie, why not? And and I'm my own movie star, right? So to us, everything that we do within ourselves is very important because we're the main movie star, right? The moment when I go into a conversation with Joey, I am no longer in my movie anymore. I'm in Joey's movie. Right. So I'm not a main character anymore. I'm now like a side character, because from Joey's perspective, he's still the main character. Right. So that means, let's say I'm talking to Joey, and let's say earlier I couldn't say self-accusation or
actualization.
Actualization. Right. I was flubbing on that. Right. And normally to someone who would have like social anxiety, that would like be it. Like that'd be like one of the moments where they're like, I can't do this. Like I'm getting awkward now. Right. But I got to keep rolling with it, because to me, I couldn't say the word. Sure, whatever. My tongue slipped. It'd be like that sometimes. It'd be your own. But like from a main movie standpoint, that would be like detrimental. But since I'm not a main character, chances are Joey did not give a shit that it happened.
Yeah,
he's dealing with his own things in his own movie, because I'm just a side character to him at that point.
100% relatable to this. And especially for me because I edit the podcast and I stumble over my words probably like 3 to 4 times in each episode, and afterwards I go through and I'm like finding the places in the audio to try to fix, and then like at a certain point I'm just like, what am I doing, man? I'm just like, why am I even bothering with this right now? It's not like they're gonna like hear me stumbling over my words, turn the episode off, and just like
That's it.
well on me just like talking. They're like, oh, look at this guy. Look
at this
playing it or something. Look at this dumb idiot.
Just start flipping tables. Damn it, Key, you ruined my entire afternoon.
But realistically, they probably just like get right by it. They think about it one time, and then they're like, that happened, and then they just back into the episode. You know,
they might just chuckle and keep going. Like that's I agree as well. Like it's not as important to them. Like unless they're just sitting there typing on their keyboard, Key, you messed up here and it's messing me up.
Oh yeah, there's some people that will absolutely they live for those fuck ups just to call you out.
That's also a self projection as well, like of things. But like I'm not a psychologist. I'm not anything. We're not gonna go.
Yeah, I'm not a certified psychologist, so
we're not qualified to talk about anything that we say. Go ahead and out with anything. We've already clarified. Episode 0. We're not professionals. We're just ignorant guys on the internet. We're just some guys that have opinions. Who cares if they're right?
I have a confession to make, and I've been holding it for a long time. But the MD in my name is fake.
What?
I just wrote MD, and people started calling me a doctor. I just went with it. Like
well, if I'm going to be completely honest, I don't even know what MD stands for in terms of medical.
Okay, see, now I don't want to say what I think MD stands for, so we're gonna keep going.
Yeah. Let's just move past
my
this.
dick is like an M16. Nah, it's all right. I mean, I don't know. MD fits.
I mean, it is what it is. But I think that's a big thing too. Like that's why I'll encourage, especially if like me and Key are trying to talk at once, I'll encourage him to just go, especially because I know that sometimes it's harder for him to get his word out because I'm so used to talking so much. And Key talks a lot. All right, don't get me wrong. Key talks a lot. All right, I think just the fact that it's recorded makes it a little bit difficult for him. But he talks a lot. Okay, we could talk for hours.
Also, the format and that we have like I probably discussed this on a different episode or either during an episode or afterwards. The format of the podcast where we have other creators on, these are people who are professionals at communicating with other people. Yeah. Like it's really hard to get a word in between like two people that are in a conversation that they both have opinions on, and they're going back and forth. Really hard to force your way in there as somebody that's just like, I don't create content. I don't. This is it for me. This is as far as my internet reach goes. Is this podcast?
Yeah, I feel that. It definitely gets a little bit more difficult. But...
Yeah, making content, like the transition to making content is definitely something that grows over time. Like, I don't think you're bad at talking on the podcast, Key. Like, I've listened to previous podcasts of you guys, and I think you do fine. Like, I've never been like, oh, this fucking kid, like, as he starts, but it definitely is a transition that I think grows over time. Like, if I go back to, like, my first couple of videos of, like, commentary, you could definitely tell that I was a little rough around the edges.
Oh,
I was still trying to, everyone was, you're just trying to figure out, like, I'm talking to a camera. I have to come up with conversations that people probably don't care about. And then, but then eventually it just it becomes like second nature.
Yeah, now you can talk to your computer like it's a person. Like, it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
Right there.
Imagine showing that to someone, like, let's say we would like found a time machine, go back to like 1925 when people were still chasing fucking ropes and like wheels.
Yeah.
And then like we just show them like footage of someone talking to their camera. Their brains would probably melt.
What is this? What is this demon? This movie? What is this moving picture? Yeah, I get you. Type of thing. It'd be crazy to go back to. I mean, it just all comes down to, like I said, I like how everything we're talking about still boils down to being yourself and not being afraid.
I think people are gonna be afraid of a lot of things with like different fears. A lot of people are afraid of
don't let it control
themselves out there. Exactly. Especially when it comes to making content, like kind of putting yourself out there, because when you do that, you're kind of exposing your back for people to come at you. And like, of course, hate comments are gonna be there. I don't really get them too much, but like I'm not on that size yet. I'm assuming as I get larger, I'll like there's like when I checked the comment section of our Showdown live that we did on your channel, there's a couple people who are like, wow, this kid knows nothing. And I'm like, yeah, whatever. It's like, it's like putting yourself out there, it's a fear. and there's a lot of other fears of like maybe trying to getting a new job or like going to school or anything like that. But it's like if you don't face your fears, then how do you grow?
Yeah, how
know?
you succeed,
How do you
how you go forward.
yeah, how do you like how do you go over these personal endeavors? How do you grow, evolve, and adapt?
Definitely think one of the first steps is actually like the realization that you do want to go forward, right? Even if you're scared or anything like that, saying, okay, I'm terrified to go outside, but I want to go outside.
Yeah, that first step outside your comfort zone is very important to actually like accepting, that new that new environment, that new atmosphere.
It's really hard.
The first jump is the biggest one.
Yeah, and it's super hard. But once you've mustered up that confidence to do it, like the feeling you get after, it's and obviously there'll be down times as well, right? There'll be times things don't go your way, but I feel like you'll never feel that same fear that you had.
I feel like I know who Joey's talking to right now.
Yeah, you might, but yeah, I feel like you'll feel fine right after. Yeah, that's I like this. I like this a lot. I always say this, man. And I hate that I break immersion, but I love when we get someone on and it's exactly what we want out of the podcast. I hate to break immersion. I'm sorry. My bad. Back to your regularly scheduled pod. But
yeah, I was actually not surprised that we vibed well, because obviously like watching your content over the years, like you can kind of pick up like, oh, I feel like if we hung out it would be cool. Like you can kind of do that with people. No, I'm just glad that like when we decided to make the video and everything like that, everything kind of rolled like correctly, like on schedule, according to plan, or if you want to like, wherever you want to say it. No, y'all are good people.
I appreciate that. I like being able to obviously be some part of myself, at least with somebody else, right? I think one thing I pride myself in, not necessarily pride myself in, but I'm happy that I know I'm a really chill person when it comes to things, so I have no problem meshing with people. And that's a lot of that has to do with my background as well. Like I grew up like doing things like speech meet, where I actually had to go and talk in front of people, right? And my family super diverse, so I've had very many opportunities like that. But it's cool to be able to just like find somebody and just be able to talk to them about whatever. Obviously not whatever, right? I'm not gonna go out and talk to you about my sex life or whatever.
You go out and be like, yo, flux capacitors, am I right? Let's like what? Yeah, I think this guy on about? Yeah, I think one thing for me, like that's another thing, like going through like my life or whatever that's helped, is like the fact that I had to go through like different like foster families and stuff like that and kind of read like what they're about. Helps me adapt with like talking to literally anyone. Like I feel like especially in person when I go to conventions and like viewers, I don't like saying fans because it's very like head ass, but like when viewers.
Oh god, not this.
Bro, I'm telling you, dude, every content creator said the same thing. I'm glad we're all on the same page with this.
Dude, like people who say fans, it's like, oh geez, you're 3 inches and yet you still suck your own dick. Crazy.
That's what I'm saying.
But yeah, so like when viewers come up, they always tell me like, oh, you're super chill, you're super like easy to talk to, and it's like, yeah, because it's like I just had to adapt and like learn how to talk to people that I didn't know. Like I went into houses with literally complete strangers and I had to like pick up what they're about, and I also want to be a stand-up comedian, so I always try to be like good with like fucking around and heckling and
like, that's something you actually plan on pursuing?
Yeah, I would love to do stand-up. I have a lot of material and stuff, and
that feels like such a hard career. Like just in terms of getting started, I don't even know where I'd begin, and I thought about it a lot of times.
Open mics, I think that'd be like the best thing.
Yeah, but like just in terms of like writing material. Yeah. Like people, like I'll say a couple good zingers every once in a while. I got a couple go-to jokes up my sleeve, right? Don't get me wrong here. Like sometimes people will go a little overboard and they're like, "Hey, this guy really should do stand-up comedy." I'm like, I don't think that is what you think it is. There's a lot more to it than just saying a couple of witty one-liners.
Sure. Yeah, it's like
context,
presence and delivery and like like visual of like how you are like on stage, like the way you handle yourself. It's that's like one thing that I want to do is stand up, I try to do that with a lot of the YouTube videos that I do now, like with LPs and stuff. Like I always try to like make jokes or like try to make instances, well, especially when I'm doing like a collaborative project. Like you can ask anyone that's done like a full on LP with me. It's like, yeah, I might not pull crazy views because like I'm not like super well known, but like
somebody that they could just relate with.
Best people to like, you know, like now I'm gonna suck my own for a second, but I'm easily one of the best people to work with, or like one of the funniest, you know, because I think I do a lot of things right because of like, since I want to do stand-up comedy, and you can kind of practice your game or like shape your game based off of other people that you find funny, you know.
That's just really tough because you have to be naturally, like, to deliver, like you said, is super important. It's one thing to write down a funny joke, but then to say it in a way that people can also laugh.
Discord keeps being weird with me.
That's unfortunate. I was
for like 10 seconds, like for 10 seconds it's like silent. It's weird.
Damn. That sucks. I mean, I've had it a couple times too, but I just like let it rock if anything. But yeah, that's like super tough too. Like myself, I feel like I'm a lot better at banter than naturally like seeing things. Like I need somebody to what's the term? Jump something off or whatever.
I know what you're saying.
Bounce off, like to bounce off.
Yeah, you need to bounce off. Sorry, like Discord like cut off like that whole conversation. So like I just came in right now. I don't know what happened.
No problem. I was just saying, like for me, it's easier for like the banter, right? You know, having somebody to actually bounce off of.
Yeah,
and go from there. But that's completely different than stand up. That's interesting.
Yeah, I think it helps, but like stand up, yeah, you can make jokes, but a lot of the times you can make jokes of like personal experiences or like you can over exaggerate instances that happen, and you can like really find like it once you understand like how to set up the joke, and then like being able to like, because like jokes are funny because it's like what makes a joke funny is because it's an answer, like it, like the punchline or like whatever the bit that gets you is something that your brain hasn't subconsciously already thought of. So like, let's say if I go like, why'd the chicken cross the road? Your brain inherently thinks to get to the other side. And then I say something like something completely different, you'll laugh to it because it wasn't something that your brain like subconsciously thought of, and it's like new information being acquired. And since something is new, a lot of people inherently laugh to the reaction. That's why babies laugh first before they really learn how to talk, because that's them like taking in information, because they're like, oh, what the fuck, like this is crazy, so, and that's why every time you hear the joke over and over, it becomes less funny because you already know the outcome of what the punchline or the setup was. So it's like, once you understand that, and you can understand, that's why like a lot of memes now are like, a lot of like new generational memes are quote unquote funnies, because they're like super out of nowhere, like out of like there's like literally no like context to the meme. It's like super deep fried and random. The reason why people find that funny is because it's something that they weren't like, their brain didn't coherently think of like a solution to. That's why they like get trending. Like the whole Howard the Alien meme, like the whole dancing alien to like Lil Uzi and stuff. I made like, I don't know how many meme edits of that because I loved it. It made no sense. But like it's because I didn't think of, if I was to compile a joke, there's no way my brain would be like, yeah, imagine waking up from sleep paralysis and it's just a gray alien dancing to Lil Uzi. Yeah. Like my brain did not connect those together.
Fair enough. I'm thinking in terms of like writing comedy is something that I don't think that it'd be impossible for me to do it. Like I could probably do stand-up comedy if I really, really put an effort into it. But I think you have to be comfortable whenever you're starting stand-up you have to be comfortable with just being terrible for a very long time.
Yeah. And like you have to be okay with bombing. Like bombing is like part of it. Like
even after you're good, you're gonna have a bad show eventually.
Yeah, like crowds are different. People have different like comedic like. Yeah, humor is very subjective, and like there's like I'll even make a joke sometimes if I'm hanging out with friends, and I'll say a joke and like no one laughs. I'll be like, yeah, that one shoots 100%. It's fine.
Yeah,
like,
you win some, you lose some.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
That's what you make out of the experience too. Like in a situation like that, you might say "laugh, damn it," and they might actually laugh after because they didn't expect the reply to be so aggressive, right? So it's what you do out of it. I can agree with that. So what are you doing to pursue that, if you don't mind me asking?
For comedy, I have just a lot of material written down. Not like a lot, but like I'll think of like instances or like minus like minus like me exaggerating life stories to make it funny. Like if I try to think of actual bits, I'll think of like weird premises that would work for like necessarily for a skit. And if I could make it as a skit, I could try to see if I could then use it as a bit, because then it'd just be me telling the story instead of having like a helping crew with the skit.
Yeah.
And then I'll then say the joke. I'll kind of go to a couple friends that like have the same comedy background. Like we have like kind of the same, what would you say, the comedic influences.
Yeah.
And I will like I'll like softball pitch it to them. Like I'll kind of just like nonchalant say it to see if it kind of grabs. And if they like it, then I'll like really go into it. And if not, then I'm like, oh, okay, I'll try to like reshape it again. And then when I have time, I want to definitely go to some open mics and stuff and try it out. Like, and I just think of random bits. Like, I don't know if you saw, but I made a couple of TikToks like a couple weeks ago.
I did.
Yeah. I did that one where it was like, watch out, it's mosquito season, gamers. And I thought of an idea of like being in the same room with Magic Johnson and like mosquitoes were there. I feel like that'd be like a really funny skit, right? Because it could be like super suspenseful for no reason. Like he could be like unaware that a mosquito is there, right? And for a lot of people who don't know, like Magic Johnson has AIDS. Like that's the point of the joke. Haha, right? And but I was thinking, I was like, I wonder if there's a way that I could then take that skit and try to make it into a bit. Like I would then like change it, instead of it being a visual gag to like something that I could say that would be funny. And then like I think of like, you think if Magic Johnson was a villain, do you think he would try to pull like an Arkham City Joker and donate his blood to like hospitals? Right?
Jesus.
Right? So it's like, and then like you would try to find a way, like he shows up to the hospital with like a fake mustache and like an alias name, and like let's say he gives the blood to him, but he forgets like a pack on him, and then they go, oh wait, sir, like Mr. Johnson, you forgot one of your blood packs. He's like, oh okay. Then he like no look passes behind the back to him, and then they're like, wait, you know, like, because then it'd be him exposing himself as like, I don't know, you just try to think of like random things. Obviously, like that joke right there was a work of progress. That was me softballing it to y'all.
What comedians do you would you say inspire you, or do you relate with?
When I think of like actual jokes, like when I try to like be like legitimately funny, it'd be like a Tom Segura or like a Dimitri Martin, because Dimitri Martin had very like quick witty kind of jokes. Right. But like when I talk normally and I just kind of like, I'm not even trying to be funny, but I'll just say something that's just naturally funny because, you know, I'm talented, you know, whatever. So nah, I kid. But when I say, like, when I'm just like having a conversation and stuff, like Bill Burr is a really big one. Because like just the way that he delivers things is very good. Or like Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan's another one that even though all he does is yell his punchline at people, but he's good at like, you know, he's good at setting things up and like being immersed, and like that's
he does
really
paint a good scene for sure.
Yeah,
those are all choices I would have picked as well. And that's
bro, I would have picked Kevin Hart, man. I
like Kevin Hart. No, see, here's the thing. I like Kevin Hart, and I think he's fine now. I don't think he's as good as he used to be, because like before, when he was on the come up or like really getting bigger with like he had the one, you know, like way back in the day, like when he was doing stand up, he had the whole like him as a kid, like long titty, no nipple, like that was obviously iconic. And then like his dad, like all right, you know, whatever. Like all those stand-ups. And then now this is like every Kevin Hart stand-up. All right, so I'm a little guy, so I'm a little man. And then I was going down to the stairs. You know, I'm a little guy, so I'm waddling down the stairs right now. Get it? Because I'm a little guy. Like, every joke's about him being small, and it's like, we fucking get it. You're 5'3".
Right.
We get it. Change.
It's kind of hacky, is like whenever a comedian is just like there's one thing about him, like, oh, I'm a Mexican comedian, all my jokes are about me being Mexican. I'm fat. Hey, I'm fat. Look at me.
Iglesias, whatever his name is.
Iglesias, whatever his name is. Yeah, like I'm not flat, I'm fluffy. It's like that one joke was like, that was good, and then the next one's like a sequel to that joke, and it's like, oh, okay, like all right, okay.
Yeah. All right,
we
guy.
Get it.
Like for me, I absolutely love Kevin Hart, but I cannot listen to his shows more than once because I know why. Like obviously, he says, like you said, he repeats a lot of what he says, but he's still
right. It is hard to listen to a lot of comedian like shows more than once, though. Like just for the reason that you said, like it's hard for it to be funny a second time when you know what's coming. But like I will listen to a lot of shows more than once just because like I have an appreciation for some of the jokes, just from the standpoint of how it was like written. Sometimes there's a joke that's just like so well put together that I'm just like, how did they even, like, the concept of this is just so
like
ridiculous that I can't imagine having to come up, like, did they reverse engineer it from the punchline? Like I can't think of a specific example of it.
Like for me, one that I definitely remember from at least Kevin Hart, and like I'll always laugh at, and this is probably one of the few I'll always laugh at, but when his mom gives him permission to curse at his teacher and he takes it too far. Like
I don't know why. I'm looking at my ping. My ping does not move.
Oh, so you're still not able. You're still like losing some of the conversation, like when we're talking, Patty. Patty.
Yeah, we're good. I don't know what. Like, I'm looking at my ping and it doesn't move. But yeah,
It's
like,
all right.
everything goes mute on my end for a second.
Yeah, we have the power of editing. Don't worry. We have the power.
Yeah, we have technology.
We have key. We have key. But yeah, I was saying, for me, one joke that like stood out to me that no matter what, I can hear it again and just keep laughing. For Kevin Hart, at least, was the one where his mom gives him permission to curse out his teacher. You know, like he gets in trouble for cursing, and then she gives him permission to curse, and then he takes it too far. Right?
Yeah, that's what I was saying. The long titty, no nipple bit. Like that's iconic.
Exactly. That is the go-to when it comes to him.
Yeah, a lot of the times, like jokes I can find funny because it's like, yeah, the imagery I could rewatch again because like it's up to your kind of imagination of like.
Oh, for sure. The teacher changes every time in my head.
Yeah, exactly. Like yesterday, or not yesterday, the day before, I was watching some Bill Burr stand up, and he was just kind of like talking about how he used to be in hotels and how he feels like hotels are a lot better than motels because he's like, not because of like the quality of they are, but he talks about like, he's just saying like, yeah, hotels are way better because let's say if someone comes in and wants to like come after you or they're just like swinging an axe, you at least have the lobby people to like go down first and then you can kind of plan like, okay, do I board the door? Do I do this? You know, do I hide? Do I turn on the shower and hide behind the door? You know, sense of like distraction of direction. He's like, but motels, he's like, you're in a motel. He's like, you're like 2 feet away from a parking lot where literally anyone could just walk up with a chainsaw, like, like just like he was like, and then you're over here dozing off watching TV at like 4 a.m. going, oh, it's kind of early to trim the hedges, and it's just the person's like, like outside the door. He's like, there's no form of protection. But yeah, it's like the visual things like itself. Like I remember watching that the other day, and like I laughed like just the idea of him cranking the chainsaw and stuff. Like I rewatched it like 4 times. It was just funny.
Oh, I mean, yeah, it's like that's something I can definitely imagine, bro. Especially with like personal experiences. As a kid, I hated staying in motels, man.
Oh yeah, it's horrible.
Always preferred hotels, bro. I didn't like that. I could look outside and there's somebody there staring at me. You know what I mean? Like that's
like I grew up in a lot of studio apartments and like just not, you know, just like they're just not good. Like just like you can't, like the studio apartments are like so gross. Like you could even kill the roaches because they paid for practically half the rent. Like it was just like, it was just so like the fact that like at any moment, like there was one time actually that our apartment got not swatted, but like our door got kicked down by police officers. Like I was in a 1-bedroom apartment with me and my mom and my older sister. And yeah, like these cops like kick down our door and like we like hide into the bathroom. Like 11, we like hide to the bathroom. We're like scared out of our mind. And as they search, they're just like, "Oh shit, might be the next apartment over is what we need to is who we need to go after." And so they're like, "My bad, we'll fix this. Like obviously we'll pay for the door and all that stuff." And they ended up, you know, fixing it pretty quick. Like, you know, they got to do everything. Like, but like the point was, it's just the fact that someone just walked up to our door and was like, and just like ready to go. It was like, Jesus.
Good God.
Just came right in. Oh my God.
Yeah, I was playing SmackDown versus Raw 2006, my PS2, minding my own damn business.
God, absolute throwback.
Dude, featuring ECW or whatever it was called or whatever.
I still remember my character, my custom character
same.
on there.
Yeah, I still remember mine. Same.
Looking back, it was a little bit ridiculously built. I was like 7 foot tall and had like shoulders that were at least like 5 foot wingspan. It was a ridiculous.
Yeah, you're just massive. Just unnecessarily huge.
And not the proportions were all wrong. I just can't imagine a person that looks like that thinking back on that.
Yeah, you just can't back out of the driveway, you know?
Bro, I loved watching it as a kid, but I was more of like a Death Jam player. Like when it came to it, like I like Fight for New York, bro.
Yeah,
it was just so fun.
Those are good games,
bro. Fighting, like mashing somebody, waiting for the train to come by, and just mashing them into it just to auto win. Like that was the best way to play back in the day. That was it. They really let us get away with a lot as kids. I feel like in terms of like the games and stuff. That was cool though. That was a huge throwback. Holy crap! I wanted to ask one more question from the Twitter part, and it said. Right. I kind of want. Okay, never mind. This is one about aliens, but this is like, would you have focused more on school if there was an opportunity if there was more opportunity there. And I feel like I just want to ask this because I feel like this is something that a lot of people can relate to too. And I know that in your circumstances, you still did go to school despite what you were going through. But now being a content creator, I forgot. I know you graduated in something, right?
Yeah, I have an so I have an associate's in film. I have an associate's in film, but I didn't get that in college because I went to a technical high school. So I didn't go to like a regular high school. I went to a school where I majored in something. So I got certified in like the state of Nevada. So I'm allowed to like make like full scale films if I was like able to. And I have an associate's in film as well with that because of like the credits that I got for it. Because it's like one of those like technical vocational schools.
That's awesome, dude. I wish I had that one.
Yeah, it was sick, you know? Like a lot of people go for different things, and mine was film because I always wanted to make like videos and stuff. I've always had like just like the idea of making some form of entertainment. But then when I went to college, I majored in physics. And I like science a lot.
Okay.
So so that's why when someone asked me about the aliens, I was like, oh, it's probably because they want to like hear what I think about. Like, I'm not a fucking physicist, but like I enjoy science and I'm pretty like into it. Yeah, like I don't know, like I stopped going to school because I got depressed and I was out of city and I was dating someone for like 3 years and she ended up cheating on me when I was out of city. And like yeah, and like obviously like it hurt me more because like I don't have any strong connections with my parents and stuff like that, so I didn't really know what love was. So when I thought I knew what it was and she did that, it was like all my foundation was broken. I got depressed, and then I started watching YouTube videos to get by, to cope, you know. And then by doing that, I was like, you know what, I feel like I could do that. Like I feel like I could help people with their tough times, or I could like shed light on situations and stuff, and I don't regret it. You know, obviously I'm not making crazy money on the internet. I get by, you know, I scrape, but like it's I would rather I'm very spoiled to have this job now, you know, or one of the jobs, because I still work like normally, but like, you know, I don't take anything back. And I feel like if people want to go to school, they should. But just understand that if you're in your mid 20s and you don't know what you want to do with your life, yeah, it's okay. Not a lot of people do.
Yeah, a lot of people spend their entire life figuring out what they want to do.
Yeah, people go through midlife crisis all the time.
Exactly. It takes so long, and like at least for me too, when it came to doing YouTube, I always school part time, job part time, YouTube until YouTube eventually. What it did was I didn't need to do the job anymore, right? Because I had YouTube for it, so it made it a little bit easier. And same thing when it came to school. Like I did what I needed to do, but now I'm doing what I need to do now, and I'm enjoying it. And that's what I love.
Securing that motherfucking bag.
Just loving what I do now.
I think that's one of the worst things we do in like our society is to push people to go to school as like the end all be all after high school.
Oh yeah, they overvalue it way too much.
I mean, back in the day, it was.
It's not for everybody by any means.
I mean, I think it's also because of the security. It doesn't actually give you security nowadays. Whereas back in the day, where you'd go to school, you go to college, and you're off to work in an office or whatever, and everything's secured. Get your wife; she stays home, she does what she wants, and that's it, right? Like
20 years ago, it was like you got your degree, and then it was like, oh, we have jobs lined up for you now.
I'd argue it was even more. I'd argue it was definitely like more than 20. I think even.
Oh yeah, we're in 2019 now. Jesus. All right, let's say 30 years. Let's say 30 years.
30 years.
Like mid 90s, you could graduate with a degree and then like like have at least a job lined up and stuff, or like at least something, because there's a lot of
yeah, exactly. Content creation, bro, is only 16 years old, if I'm not mistaken, maybe 17 in terms of YouTube, right? In terms of YouTube, I remember if YouTube was 2003 or 2001. 2006. When was YouTube? Really?
Yeah,
2005.
2005. October 2005, right? October 2005.
Yes. And 2010, 2011 is when video games were able to be monetized. Specifically video games. I'm not talking about like, other things.
Yeah, even then, but like YouTube got bought up by Google, I think in 2008 or 2009.
Yeah, and things just start to. This is a brand new like way of.
Oh, it's very new. Yeah, like when I was applying for my apartment place, it was hard to explain because I still work part time in a doctor's office, but I don't make like enough to pay my rent on that. I mean, with my part time and this, I do, but like it was hard for me to explain that I'm self employed with like content creation.
Yeah,
because it's like,
for sure, bro.
How do you prove that?
My credit's almost 800, and I still have to apply with my mom to get an apartment I want, just because it is.
That's what I'm saying. It's so weird.
It is unfortunately what it is. But yeah, that's just that's just the times we live with. But I agree. I don't think school is for everyone, and it's okay if you find something you're able to do and you're able to support yourself, and this is something you're able to, I think, be stable with. I think stability is something everybody longs for. Then go for it, right? And also, if you're able to get your education and also do this on the side, if it's not a distraction, if it's not, yeah, exactly, do it.
Do it.
I think everybody should have a side hustle until it
I
becomes.
don't think people push heavily enough on the option of just like learning a trade. Just a cheap, like 2-year course in some trade would go a lot further for most people than like going to 4-year college for some subject that it's impossible to get a career in.
Yeah.
Like try to have a side hustle, and try to get into trades like that that you're at least like interested in. Like when I was doing YouTube and Twitch, I still had a full-time job most of the time. Like I was an auto body collision technician for like a little over half a year, where I would just like work on car accidents and stuff like that. And like I was an apprentice, so like I would help people, but I was still working on cars like the entire time. And I'd probably still be there, but I did YouTube and everything at the same time. But I got laid off eventually, and then I got another job as a window tinter, so I would tint like buildings and cars and stuff, like just these trades that make good money, as I did YouTube on the side hustle. But then I eventually was like, nah, I'm gonna make YouTube my main thing. But yeah, people should don't look at colleges and like, oh, I have to get 4 years, because I look back now and I thought I had everything planned out. Like I was with this girl I was with for 3 years. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna go to college for like 4 to 6 years. I'm gonna get a good job, blah, 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 like all this crazy stuff. And it's like, even if I did that path, like let's say all that went through, I'm not guaranteed to get a job. And on top of that, it's like, yeah, you have a paper, but now you're like so much in debt. I mean, like I had a full ride to an extent. I think I had full ride for the first 4 years, but not if I wanted to get like a master's or something. And it's just like, it's not for everyone, and it's like, it's okay. If you're going to college and you're like, this kind of sucks, if it's not for you, it's okay to like not go. I mean, obviously you should probably keep going if you're already like pretty invested, because like, especially if you have money on the line, I would say at least get your money's worth out of it. But like, yeah, like I said, if you're in your mid-20s and you don't know what to do, don't freak out. It's normal. Yeah. Like the previous generation tries to push you and try to pressure you to do a lot of things, but it's like times are different. Like they're able to move out when they were 18 and stuff because they could. Now you can't do. You physically cannot financially do that anymore.
Oh my god, I live in New York, bro. It's still tough, and I'm my age. Like,
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like my foster parents, like, because I'm getting this apartment thing, and they're like, hey, if you need help to co-sign, like, we got you. And I was like, well, glad you understand, because they're like, yeah, no, we knew if you left, like, there'd be no way you could do it by yourself. Like, so I'm glad you have like your girlfriend and stuff. But it's just, I was like, dude, imagine like. So I asked him, I was like, dude, imagine being my age with your parents when you were growing up. They're like, oh yeah, they think I'm a bum just because like, it's a previous generation. It's a little bit easier because there's less people. Like the population of the earth has doubled in the past like 30 years.
Yeah.
4 billion people out of nowhere. Like Thanos, where are you, bro? Like,
oh god.
Yeah, it's such a different society from whenever they were like,
it's completely
becoming
different.
Adults. It's I don't know. It's like hard for a lot of people to grasp that.
Dog, I'm a white male. You know how hard it is for me to still find a job? Like, I didn't get every job I applied at.
Are we going to talk about the tribulations of being a white male?
Where's the privilege I see on Twitter?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Where's this privilege that everyone says I have on Twitter? It's like, dog, I don't know. I think there's a thing called money privilege, which a lot of white people have because society allows them to be more wealthier than others, without a doubt. I can't disagree against that. But it's like, yeah, I'm a poor kid at that point, so they don't care. I'm just like everyone else at that point. There's no financial privilege on top of it.
I mean, they're also talking about like, what people think when they first see you versus other people. But I agree with what you're talking about.
Yeah, that too. Yeah, without a doubt. Like, I'm not disagreeing on that.
Yeah, but no, it's true. It's just not the same. And it's interesting because my parents both had to work super hard. Like my mom came to this country with her brothers and sisters, and mom and dad, they all lived in a 1-bedroom apartment. There's a ton of them, times where they couldn't find rent. And my dad also was Italian, born and raised, came over here from Italy as well, born and raised in the Bronx, and raised in the Bronx. And they all had to struggle to where they are now, right? And when I first started doing my thing, if my dad got mad at me or something, our relationship is a ton better now that I don't live there, because there's a lot of pressure, me and 2 sisters. That he's
raising a kid is hard.
Tough. Yeah, it's tough, especially because I was born right away. But I remember a time when if he was really mad at me, he'd be like, yo, go back to your fantasy world and do this. And now he's more like, hey, I want to help you. What do you got to do? What's happening? What are you saving? What are you doing for this? Like he generally cares and started to understand as I started to make it into something. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
like that was one thing as well. Like my parents would always ask me, like, "Hey, when are you gonna grow up?" Or like, "When are you gonna go to like a union or whatever, and make real money?" Then as I started paying off my bills, they're like, "Oh, okay." Or like when I went to the UK with Duncan and all that, they're like, "Oh, okay. I guess he like has a genuine plan
yeah,
going on."
it just takes
You
it just
know,
takes some time.
but
That's
you
it.
can't, you can't hate your parents sometimes,
Oh
especially
no,
for parenting. Parenting's hard.
bro,
It's
my
like a
mom.
lot of the times it's kids taking care of kids.
Yeah, yeah, it's true. It's true. We're never taught how. Like I know my parents didn't. Like they raised me well, and that's all they could teach me. Right? They didn't physically say, "Hey, you. Whenever you get married, you do this, this, and this." They say, "No, this is difficult. This is hard. You got to work through it and do it." But I wouldn't be here without my mom. My mom bought me the computer I'm using right now. She
Yeah, my
on a
grandmother
loan.
bought mine.
Yeah. And my dad helps like so much for me. He's given me so much to help. And, all I want to do is pay them back. But it's just the initial convince of them, like, why are you staying up at 3 o'clock in the morning recording this? Don't you have class in the morning? And I'm like, yeah, I do. I'm going to go there. I'm going to do my work. I'm going to go to sleep in class. I'm going to get my A. I'm going to come back and I'm going to do this again. That's it.
Yeah, grind time, prime time.
I do what I got to do. And when I first moved out 3 years ago, I was able to like just shoot up like my not shoot up as in like
I was able to do some heroin for my life. I was able to shoot up, boy.
As in like I was able to really put my work ethic to the test, right? Because I kind of had to, right? I lived somewhere I had to pay rent. I live in New York, bro. I live in New York.
Oh
like,
yeah, I could only imagine.
That's just how tough it was out itself. But newfound respect I think was found by my parents as well. Not that they didn't respect me before; they loved being here for me. But I got on better terms with my dad. We were always on good terms, but like just better. Like a lot.
Yeah, but like society makes like dads and like men, you have to like be hard on each other for no reason.
Yeah.
For like literally no apparent reason. It's just like, yeah, I'm supposed to be like a hard ass just because like that's my job, I guess. I don't know. I'm a dad. I'm just here to like
exactly. My dad
fix shit and complain.
Exactly. I never felt like my dad didn't love me because I knew he loved me. But like he started, giving me kisses and hugs and says he loves me when I leave now than when I go visit him. You know what I mean? Like
yeah, it's because it's more of an appreciation thing because it's like when you're a kid they try to like toughen you up for the world, and then once you make it in the world it's like, all right, I don't need to toughen you up anymore because someone else will, so I can go back to me.
Love, bro. He's like, yo, can you get your sisters out of here too? Like
I felt like my dad just felt himself growing older and weaker, and he saw that I started working out. Got a little too scared,
That's what happened with you.
Like gonna have to stop talking to me all sideways, huh?
My dad didn't see nothing. I ran into my dad once when I was 16. He didn't even recognize me.
Damn.
Yeah.
Because I recognized him because he's a tall guy and he has like certain tattoos. Like he has like 2 sleeves and the sleeves are very like specific. So I saw him at a gas station. I called him by his name. I was like, Ron? He was like, huh? Where are you? And I was like, yeah, don't worry about it, man. I was like, have a good. I was like, give a good one, man. And then I cried in my car. So then, but same thing. My mom used to get really physical with me. Like my mom used to swing at me like I was a stranger. But like after I got to a certain age, because I'd still see her every once in a while. Like my mom had like a scare a couple years ago. Like she had cancer, and she's fine now or whatever. Because I still I don't like keep in contact with her like crazy, but like I keep tabs on her to make sure she's doing all right. And like when I thought she was gonna pass, I told her like, don't regret anything. Like it's okay. Like I'm fine with my life. I'm okay with how things have turned out. Obviously, I wish they turned out better, but I'm okay with how they are between us. But now that she's fine and stuff, she thinks everything's handy dandy. And like one time she tried to get physical with me, and I was like, I'm a grown ass man. I will straight rock your body with big nasty hooks. Like you're above 160. You're a man to me at this point. Like,
yeah. No, I feel that, bro.
Quality.
There's something about the last generation that really they take too much to heart. The ideals of like not having to respect your parents no matter what, like, under any circumstance. Like, what if your parents are dumbasses? What if they're just pieces of shit?
Dude, my mom dropped out in like 6th grade. Like my mom is like, dude, like she was like, "You're supposed to respect. I'm your mother." I'm like, dog, that's a label. I could literally take that off at any moment.
It doesn't take anything to be a mother either. Like you just have to have sex once.
Yeah, like it takes nothing to be a dad. All you have to do is slip. Like that's it. And like, it's so crazy how entitled some dads can be about being a dad. It's like, dog, you're like the water boy to a Super Bowl team. All you did was leak, and then like this woman over here created a whole human.
I definitely think there's a difference between being a dad and being like a father. Like, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
a father figure.
a father is like someone that's like very wise and respected.
Cares,
Right. But
and
I
will
feel like no matter what your status or relation is to me, like if you're my dad, it doesn't really matter as much as like even if you're just some stranger, you get as much respect from me as you've earned. And like even if you're technically my father or you raised me, yeah, I appreciate everything that you did to bring me to the place I am in life. But like if you start disrespecting me, I'm gonna press you just as much as I would someone else in the street disrespecting.
Yeah, it's like yeah, I get like well, I can't really say this with my dad, but like yeah, let's say like yeah, I appreciate the roof over my head, but you're in your fucking underwear at 2 PM smelling like bourbon. I'm sorry, I'm just not gonna respect you as hard. You're not a good role model at that point.
That's like, I think something even with people that aren't your parents, anyone who is a parent thinks that their opinion is suddenly validated for the fact that they have a child. Like people like, with children like try to give you advice and stuff in life. I'm like, look, I see where you are in life, and it's like even like my coworkers and stuff at particular jobs. I'm like, we're working the same job for the same amount of money. We're in the same place in life. You just have a kid, and like I don't feel like that
doesn't make
qualifies you to have like any. No, you can't give me advice.
I saw that post of like, oh, like mom should cut the line at Starbucks or something like that. It's like, oh, you should cut the line because some guy leaked. Oh, my bad.
Yeah,
crazy. Yeah, of course. You can cut the line now that you have a little human. You're just like, oh, I don't fucking know everyone else.
Yeah, that entitlement. It's just so ridiculous.
Yeah, the previous generation has a huge thing with entitlement. Like, that's why that's a whole meme of like middle-aged white men and like cashiers. It's always like this, like the cashier's like a knight with a sword, and like a middle-aged white guy's this huge demon in a photo. It's like because like they're so entitled to like not all of them, obviously. I don't want to say that, but like a lot of them tend to be entitled, and it's this weird entitlement. Like I had a Twitch clip that got really big, and some guy used it in his video that I should have claimed, but I'm a nice guy. Only because it got like over 500,000 views. But I was like, cool, whatever. I had a clip where I was talking about how like I'll talk about how like guys feel like they deserve any girl they want because they're nice to them or something like that, and it's like that's a basic human like action. Like you shouldn't deserve this dime. Because you're nice and respectful. Yeah, that's the bare minimum. The fact to think that you think the bare minimum is like worth getting this dime when you have a neck beard and your beady eyes. I'm sorry, bro. Like it just doesn't work like that. Like just know your place. Not place, but like just know that like, you know, you like humans ain't shit.
Be realistic, yeah.
You gotta be realistic. You know, humans ain't shit. So the fact that you're nice to someone, you're supposed to be. That doesn't mean you're entitled to whatever you want. Just, you know, after that, it's the extra stuff is when you can start feeling entitled, you know, a little bit to an extent, not to the point of like you deserve something, but you could like help persuade an action, I guess. You know, someone will help a friend out because like they've helped you in the past, so that entitlement helps persuade your action. Like something like that can make sense, but not like you
should never expect anything from anybody.
Yeah, you should never expect anything from anyone. You know, never.
I do think there's a line to draw though. Like if a mother has actually sacrificed herself to do things for you, like you've seen, you know, her go to 4 different jobs to put you through
like
school.
A little shit.
Yeah, like at that point, like you shouldn't be like that. Like at least a kid.
That thing again.
Oh, you it's lagging again for you, Patty?
It's like I don't know what's going on. Like every 20 minutes, Discord's like might be. But you know, what you're saying about the mom or whatever, you know, like if you're like actually sacrificing yourself, putting yourself on the line, and then like you ask your kid to like do the dishes, and they're like, it's like, all right, you're a little shit at that point. Like
exactly. Help out.
There definitely is a line. There definitely is a line without a doubt. I'm just talking about more of like relationships where there's not something already embedded, like a parent. You know, but I don't mean to cut you guys short, but I do definitely had to do some stuff because we've been here for like an hour and a half.
Do you have time?
We can do those questions. We can definitely do the questions. I just know that
nice.
I gotta do some I gotta do some physical labor work. You know, I gotta put my body on the line.
Sex. Okay, have fun, buddy.
Just say it in those simple terms.
But yeah, I'm down for the questions though.
And kick us off, Joey.
Key, this is yours. Take it away.
Oh, interesting. This is a thing we've been doing the last couple episodes. If you haven't been watching, we just got a series of questions for our guests to answer that aren't necessarily in the context of the video. First question is, what is the dumbest purchase you've ever made?
Oh, let's go with I bought Tinder Premium once.
No.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Because I was single for like about 2 years before I met my girlfriend now.
What does Tinder Premium do?
So like on Tinder, if you go on Tinder and like you're swiping left or right, it's just kind of at random of when you'll show up. So if you get premium, it like boosts your algorithm and puts you up front. So it means like more people will see you. I'm not even lying, dude. Like
It's like a promoted tweet on Twitter.
Yeah, literally, it's like a promoted tweet. So then people would more people would find you, which means it would up your chances of getting more like pairs, pretty much. You know, I paid for that, and I think I used it for like 2 months because then I met my girlfriend, and I didn't even meet her on that. Like I just met her in person.
You ever just open the app and just you just swipe right constantly, no matter what, and you filter through it?
No,
later?
I had high standards. I think that's why I never matched anyone because even then I was like, nah.
Oh no, you really got to be in a dark place in your life, I think, to do this strategy.
Swipe right.
To employ this strategy. But basically, the rationale is that the more you maximize the people that match with you, you feel different on different days. You filter through it later. Anyone that matched with you,
depending if you have boner goggles, like
you're like, no, what? I can go for this one today.
Yeah, no, I had high standards still. I've always had high standards though. That's just kind of my thing.
What's the worst advice you've ever been given?
Like when someone was like coherent or when they were like heavily intoxicated.
The situation doesn't matter. Go ahead.
Worst advice I've ever been given.
I'm kind of looking for the intoxicated advice now that you've mentioned it.
Yeah, because I'm trying to think. Because like my mom once was like insanely wasted, like absolutely sloshed.
Good
and
God.
And she like the expression like a day late and $1 short.
Yeah.
She was like pretty much. I can't quote it because this is like I was like 10 hearing this. It was along the lines of like, why be a day late and $1 short if you're already in debt? Might as well just go 2 days late and only be $2 short. As in, like, don't pay your bills is what I kind of got from that. And I was like, what the I mean, needless to say, we got evicted from like every place we ever lived in. So she probably lived by that one pretty close to the chest.
God.
This podcast brought to you by Patty's parents, by the way.
Yeah.
Okay, good guess. What fictional character do you most relate to?
In the most non-weeby way, I'd say Naruto.
Believe it. Hey,
I always felt like an outcast when I was growing up. Like everyone just kind of looked at me differently, and I had so many questions kind of like going through my head. A lot of people have told me that like they'd start watching Naruto later, like who knew me from like back in high school, are like, oh yeah, I could totally see like him being you. And I'm just like, oh, all right. But yeah, in the most non-weeb way, yeah, Naruto would probably be like my pick because it's the underdog, the come up.
Yeah, and it becomes what he wants. But then the funny thing is, he realizes he did not want to become Hokage when he actually gets it. So
yeah, hopefully I don't get to that point when I become like actually successful on the internet.
All right, we've asked this one before, but I think it's a good one. What is the most trivial thing about which you have a strong opinion?
I don't like it when people don't wash their hands when they eat. So like not like when they get done eating they wash it, like not like that because like obviously most people wash their hands when they're completed their meal. But like let's say for example you're eating like finger foods, like let's say you're eating like buffalo wings or something, right? And let's say I'm sitting with I'll use Joey as the piece of shit in my analogy.
Oh, thank you.
So let's say me and Joey are out on a date, right? And
with each other?
Sure, man, why not? It's your story.
This is progressive too.
No, just kidding. So let's say me and Joey are on a business meeting talking about YouTube and stuff, right?
No, I'm not
and we
good
go to B-Dubs. This podcast is not sponsored by B-Dubs, just saying this out loud, right? But hey, if you want to sponsor them, I'm pretty sure they'd be okay with it.
Yes.
But so let's say we go to B-Dubs, right? And we're eating wings.
Delicious, by the way.
Delicious, right? Not sponsored, by the way, but what's up?
I could say more than delicious if you sponsor me.
That's right.
Keep going, sorry.
So let's say I want like if you could pass like I don't know like the ranch or something like that. And let's say your hands are dirty. Like let's say you have 3 dirty fingers but 2 clean fingers. Instead of wiping off all of your fingers to just give it to me like a normal person,
I just pass it with my pinky and my thumb.
Dude, that drives me up a fucking wall, dude. I cannot tell you, dude. My little sister does that, and I want to fucking do her head in.
God,
it bothers me to no extent for no reason.
I feel like that goes great with the next question.
What is the craziest thing you've ever done?
All right, so craziest thing I've ever done. I've shared this story. I'm going to try to sum it up as fast as I can because it's pretty long. So when I was homeless, I got caught into an incident where I had to help smuggle drugs for like 2 weeks. Okay. So I was like 12. A buddy of mine, his name was, we'll call him Jim, and his name is Sam. I don't care. Fuck Sam. At the end of the story, like you'll understand. Fuck Sam. So Sam is 13. I'm 12. We're both homeless. And Sam, he's like my friend. Like we used to skate and shit like that. And he was like, yo, let's get a sack, as in like weed. And I was like, oh, okay. Like I don't smoke, so that's fine. Like if you want to get it, like I'll just kind of tag along for the journey because I'm just kind of here, right? So he goes, all right. So we show up to this place. We show up to these gang of cholos. I don't know if they were in a gang or not, but they were all grouped up. You know, so this is like the main guy was named Lazy. And the reason why he was named Lazy was because he fell asleep with a crack pipe in his right hand and it burned all the nerves in his hand. So he couldn't make a complete fist. So he made like a C out of his hand when he tried to make a fist. Like that's how dead his hand was. So they called him Lazy. To explain what Lazy looked like, he looked like those homies toys that you could put 50 cents into the quarter thing and you twist them out. Like blue plaid shorts, high white socks, K-Swiss, like white tank top with like the Fu Manchu. Like that's Lazy, right? So Sam pulls up and he goes, I want to get a sack. And Lazy goes, all right, that'll be like $60. And Sam goes, you know, I ain't got the money on me, but you know, I'm good for it. And I'll hit you up next week with it, which Sam never had money because we were both homeless and we only pandered what we could.
Did you, wait?
In the week before that. And so I go, oh shit, Sam owes money to these people. And Sam goes, so Sam got weed previously from Lazy and said he was going to pay him back, but never paid him back.
I assume Lazy didn't take kindly here. Oh, you cut it out.
So I think Discord. Yeah, Discord did that thing again. All right, so Sam owed money to Lazy already.
Yeah.
So he goes, oh, so you're gonna pay me back like how you did these previous weeks, like calling him out. And he goes, oh shit. And so Sam goes, all right, well, how about we'll, as in like me and him, will help you like deal to pay back what I owe. And Sam's like, Lazy's like, yeah, all right. So he looks at me. I'm a little white kid. You know, I had long blonde hair. I had a skateboard and a scooter.
He'll do.
I was like literally like the least known thing that a police officer, because you see a kid on a skateboard, it's like, oh, he's kind of edgy, like fuck gravity. Like, you know, he's like trying to, but you see a kid on a scooter, like a cop's going to be like, go home and do your homework. Like, what are you doing?
Little helicopter hat and a giant lollipop.
Yeah. So like I would take weed from point A to point B and I would drop it off because the people were already paid before. And I only did this for like 2 weeks. And it wasn't like every day. It was like sparingly, like 2 or 3 times. Right. And so one time Lazy goes, all right, we're going to have a bigger amount for you, but we're going to go with you because we're worried that word might be going around that you might be smuggling drugs. And since you're a little fucking kid, someone could press you really easily. So I'm like, okay, but like, this is the last one I'm doing. And they're like, that's fine. Because Sam wasn't doing any of them as it is. I was the one doing all the work. So we're going down. Where was I? Like people who are in Vegas, I'll try to paint like where I'm at. So I'm like borderline North Las Vegas, like past Owens and like past Cashman Field and all that stuff. It's like on the other side of downtown. So I'm like over there. And it's like me and 5 cholos, right? So the popo drive by us, and all of a sudden they turn around and they start, you know, they play up their sirens, they go code on us, and obviously all of them dip and leave me. So I'm by myself with like weed in my jacket, and I'm like, oh shit, right? So the cops come out, and obviously they don't know that I have weed on me, so they're just like, hey, what are you doing with all those people? You know, like where'd all your friends go? And so like in my mind, I think that he already knows that I'm like holding. So he's like, where'd all your friends go? I'm like, weed on my what? Huh? I'm like tripping over my words.
Weed on my what?
Yeah, I'm like, huh? Because like the only thing I could think of is, oh, I got weight on me, right? So he goes, okay, well, how about you stay here? Like, where are your parents? Let me give them a call and stuff. So he goes into his car to like search everything or whatever police officers do in their car because they have like a mystery box of whatever they can find. And so when he does that, I immediately book. I start running, and he's like, "What?" So like he like doesn't chase me, but he's like following me like, "Kid, like what the fuck are you doing?" Because he doesn't know like what the situation is. So he wasn't chasing me as in pursuit, but he was just like, "What are you like? Come back!" So I'm running. And I there's a freeway pass. I believe it would be the I-15. I can't fully remember where I'm at. No, that'd be 95 still. So it's the 95 freeway. And it doesn't really rain much in Vegas, but in the freeway passes, there's like these not sewer gates, but openings on the bottom of these freeway passes that allows rain flow from one side of the street to the other. And they're like 3 feet high. So I'm like 4'6". I'm pretty short. So I kind of like, evil hallway, like hunch into it. Like, man, I like kind of like go in there, and the cop sees me go in there, and I have my jacket on. I'm like kind of scraping on the sides of like this like sewer, like water draining thing. Cause it's on the other side of the wall and, or the other side of the highway pass. So I'm below the highway at this point. And he's like flashing a flashlight at me. He's like, dude, like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, he's like so confused. He's like, this dude knows nothing. And he's flashing the light, I can see like light behind me, and I notice that like I have like roaches and shit on me, so I freak out. So I'm like, oh, what? So my first thing was to take off my jacket and like run. So I take off my jacket and I leave it in this water draining pipe without forgetting that weed was in there. Like the weight that I was holding was in this jacket. So I find Lazy and all them, and I kind of pull up like, why'd you guys run away? And they didn't even answer my question. They were just like, where's the fucking jacket? Like they knew that the weight was gone. And I was like, what? And they're like, the jacket with your stuff. And I was like, oh shit, I had to drop it because I don't remember what I said something with like, I put it because the cop was asking a lot of questions. I'll go get it. And they're like, all right, we'll go get it because we need it. And I was like, all right, cool. And then I ran, and I've never seen them since.
Oh my God.
Oh, good God.
Jesus Christ. Damn. All right. In
My
what way?
Lazy, if you're watching this,
Sorry.
sorry for what happened.
Maybe next time don't use a 10 to 12-year-old. In what way do you differ most from your parents? Last question.
I feel like we should have ended on that.
I feel like that was a good
It's
way.
like getting progressively worse for some reason.
I feel like we know the answer to the last question just based on what he said.
I said, fuck Sam.
Yeah, I agree. But the last question is, in what way do you differ most from your parents?
Fuck Sam.
How do you lagging, bro?
Are we good? I just left and come back to see if maybe that would like fix it.
Yeah, we were just saying fuck Sam.
Yeah, fuck Sam. Honestly,
I think honestly that last one was a good way to end it because that was a pretty good story. I'll be sure.
Anything you want to shout out here?
Yeah, shout out to obviously like my YouTube and Twitch, PattyTrills and Twitter and stuff. Obviously I'm on the come up and stuff. I'm in that kind of weird cusp where it just takes a couple more pushes and I'll be full time. So if you guys want to support me over there, and then I have an EP in the works.
Nice.
Yeah, I scream and I play bass. So like I like to do edgy stuff. So I have an EP in the works. So I'll obviously be uploading that on YouTube when that's like more like actually completed and grounded and stuff. But shout out to B-Dubs for my example. And yeah, that's kind of about it. Just obviously just like try to check me out. Appreciate the people on the podcast. Hopefully people listening had a good time.
For sure. Thank you so much for being on, bro. I appreciate it.
But if I could only pass one thing, fuck Sam.
Absolutely.
That's the one thing I can just throw off.
All right. Well, you guys know where to check them out. We'll see y'all next time. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of The Lock. Goodbye, everybody.